Ladies and Germans, how you all doing? This is Connor.
I'm Mangru. Hello, hello, hello.
And folks, starting off our Season 6 coverage today, we are over here on Orshi East. And Rang, what are we seeing here and who's bringing it to the table, I guess?
And on the left-hand side, in the blue, we have ourselves Shkodder playing as the 11th SS with a Maverick income. Right-hand side in the red, we have Gnef playing as 3rd US Armored, also with a Maverick income.
Now, we are seeing, of course, the kind of Stewart opening from the 3rd. And if you looked at the decks overall, we actually should be seeing a fair number of Stewarts early on. How's that going to match up to the light vehicles over here of Northern Division?
Yeah, Stuarts are pretty damn nasty. I mean, they have the 2 machine guns, but their cannon is pretty lacking. The main thing is that 37mm only has a 7 round a minute fire, which is actually very slow considering most other like Eastern Front light tanks usually shoot 12 to 14. But up north, we are actually seeing a very offensive play from the 2-3-1 trying to rust the 57mm and successfully does it.
Definitely helped having that Puma behind him. And that's going to cause quite a bit of a hassle for the early 3rd play in this particular part of the theater. You see right now we're going to get another 57mm in there? No, we got 2 Stewarts instead being rushed to the 4, and all the better for it. Do you want to take a quick look further south? More 2-3-1s sprinting up the middle with MG42s backing them up. They're not going to do very well as soon as the, Greyhounds and the Stewarts start to take them under fire. But one somehow makes it through the gauntlet. That is curious, to say the least.
Yeah, quite surprising, but not for too long. The Stuarts are going to come around and blow him up. And it's actually really cool seeing this many Stuarts being used early on. On a map like Orshi East, makes a lot of sense. This is a great CQC map for tanks. Stuarts, like I said, the rate of fire issue doesn't make it the greatest, but it's still not a terrible tank.
No, it's not, and certainly having the 762s over there is not anything to sneeze at. Unfortunately, now that Pack 40 is also not something to sneeze at either. I'm really thrown by the aggression being shown here by Shkodder as we start off. I mean, down to the south, he's lost the Puma that was down there, but he's being very, very aggressive. He's got 2-3-1s in the backfield. And to the north, yes, that Puma's going to be, outnumbered 2-1 by these Stewarts. And indeed, I'm not sure I'd really be that aggressive with this. But there's a lot of attempts to get things behind lines. You have a Puma on the absolute northern part of the map as well, which is kind of fascinating.
Yeah, this is a really cool play here from Shkodder, really trying to just be a pain in the ass in the rear. I'm curious to see what the Puma up north will do, because if he can position himself on the road, you can get some really sneaky kills on the enemy reinforcements. The 2-3-1 in the center, in the rear, managing to force these armored rifles to unload and getting a few hits. We are seeing some Scots being brought in, but they have no real dedicated anti-tank capabilities, but the armored rifles figured it out themselves.
Well, right now we do have the AR-234 coming in. He's going to absolutely shellac that southern battle group. And not a moment too soon, because those peak runs have definitely been forced off, even with, Crouching Tiger hidden Puma over here. And wow.
Kaboom.
You never think it's going to be quite that devastating, and then it's devastating, and you ask yourself, how did I ever think it was going to be anything but?
Yes, yes. Especially if you think, it's only a 1,000 kilograms. In a war game, it'd be nothing. Here, that's almost like a nuclear weapon going off.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're seeing right now the Pumas sitting in defilade and taking those Stewarts under fire as they're coming in. And they haven't killed him yet, but they can't see him.
Yeah. Yeah, and that Puma at long range is absolutely deadly, especially with the stealth advantage being in the trees. And the main thing is Puma is blocking off any reinforcements heading into that southern forest. He's in a pretty good defensive position. And as you can see, Gnef is forcing to unload his engineers and trying to maneuver around to kill this one light APC. Or IFV.
He's going to be able to do it, but he does go and take out one last Stewart before he does go. Worth mentioning, there is a little bit of turnabout being fair play. 3 Stewarts to the northern side are going to aggress and probably pretty easily take out this peak run. sitting in that northern town. He has no way to get back at his aggressors.
Oh, he is just gonna be forced to get surrendered very shortly here. And yeah, just like really awesome light vehicle play from both sides. You know, really taking advantage of the light vehicles available in their decks. We're seeing a bunch of Jeep 50 cals being brought in now, and Gnef using his half-track infantry. And up north, he's pretty much breaking through. But Shkodder are going to be bringing in a rather big fly swatter at Panther D to try and deal with those silly little Stuarts.
Forgive me, actually, I'm more concerned about this Puma that literally is sitting on the absolute edge of the map. So I wouldn't be surprised almost if he puts him. I almost want him to put it right behind. But, oh, actually, when you think about it, this is freaking brilliant because as stuff comes in, it should always get the first shot. And right now, he's going to be able to kill pretty much anything except for those jumbos.
Yeah.
From that close especially. So if he's able to take them under fire, the only way that that gets brought in and gets successfully matched or taken out is if there's a bomber, like a P-51 that D that's now on the field, or if we have something coming from that next road down and have a detour back up. But it seems... I thought maybe he has an idea. Nope, no idea. Never mind. Carry on.
Maybe he's thinking that if he gets the Puma to the other side of the map, it would be upgraded to a Panther.
You know what? That's actually kind of right. I forgot about that rule. You're right.
Usually needs to implement it.
The king of the jungle rule?
Yes, the king me rule. Your unit gets upgraded reaching the other side. But speaking on your point, I do think one of the problems though of keeping it so close is armored rifle comes in, instantly unloads, and just zukes the Puma. It's a risky move.
That would be a waste. Yeah.
But he could potentially still blow up a tank.
Yeah, and that's the thing though too, is that the Puma, he's only 45 points. So even if he's able to go and take out one of the armored rifles first, at least he pushes them and forces them out super early.
Like right now?
Possibility. He's facing the wrong way.
Takes a while to turn that turret. That's gonna actually be a pro, yeah, because it's gonna give him distance between him and the armored rifles. The other one... Oh my god.
And that crazy maneuver has already paid himself off.
Oh,
that is
the problem, though, is that the Puma's going to face forward again, so it's going to take him time to aim the turret. Yo, if I get there's more armored rifles and Gnef doesn't notice, he's just going to get more easy kills.
60's on the field, by the way. Going after that Pack 40 to the southern side of the giant head that's right there. Not sure. Let me take a quick look. Yeah, so there's the potential for a Stuka Safus, which isn't going to happen for at least another 90 seconds or more. There we go. Yep, and the Puma's dead, but he forced out a recon and at least got the armored rifles back in there too. So it was a pester, but he was able to at least get some kind of kill, so that wasn't too shabby.
Probably, in hindsight, would have been better to keep it in the forest, but still did a decent amount of damage, all things considering.
And and that's what I was thinking, honestly, is that if you put it in that forest up to the northern side, where the Stuart really is right now, that could have been brilliant.
Yep.
60s are looking to engage. Pack 40 constantly. Yeah, geez. I always forget how crazy accurate, for one, comparatively speaking, and how prolifically, fire rate is able to engage with those 60mm mortars. It's insane.
Yeah, the Americans have really good mortars in this game. Those 60mm, as we see, they're like the perfect in-between of the 50mm and the 80mm, where they're only good against soft targets like anti-tank guns and infantry, but with that high rate of fire, you pretty much guaranteed to get the stun.
Oh, yeah, please. There's 27 rounds a minute? That's absolutely insane.
Yep, and I see the MG42. Not going to be moving anywhere, though. I don't think he had any plans. It's a rather heavy gun.
Just like, I don't feel like moving anywhere. We're fine.
Yeah.
Down to the south, I'm surprised we continue to see more and more flame troops being sent in. Not for nothing, but those squads are not beefy enough to stand up to all of the Axis infantry in this forest.
Indeed, it's quite an anemic push. But the thing is for Gnef is that he doesn't have a whole heap of infantry. But oh, another Ardo strike. Get to my point once a bomb goes off.
And all three of them are, yeah, I'd be freaked out too, but I guess not if it was like a, half a click away.
Yeah, yeah. Well, speaking to my point earlier, the problem with Gnef is in his deck, he's only like dedicated close range infantry or engineers, one card in A, one card in B. And he doesn't have a whole lot of infantry because you're playing 3rd US armored. So he's going to have a very hard time just fighting in that forest compared to Shkodder's rather deep infantry deck. So frankly he can't really do too much. Yeah, his best bet is just try to make maneuvers in the center and up north.
It's weird to say that the Axis actually have an infantry advantage, and even more so to think, ooh, wait, more 60 in the south. Even more so to think that infantry is just an all-around better case. We're not talking like cards upon cards of air such troop, and we're talking about legit peak runs. Yes, with a peak with an MG26, but still way more successful than a lot of other allied equipment in this case.
Yeah, and later on, I mean, you get the Stern Pioneers and regular Pioneers. So you have some pretty nice options available, and especially on a map like Corsa East, like dedicated CQC infantry are very much needed on a map like this.
But it still is 15-9, so let's not forget the fact that right now the Germans have been rocked on their heels.
But haven't even been paying attention to the flagged disadvantage here for Shkodder. I mean, the northern play here from Gnef has worked quite wonderfully. But there's a Panther and there's a Stug, and Gnef only has Stuart. He's going to need something a little bit more heavier, such as, well, a 57mm anti-tank.
Yeah, I was going to say, we are American here, damn it.
Yeah, they use the metric system.
It's the only time we use the metric system.
When there's a war.
We can't be bothered any other time.
Yeah.
That's how you weird colonial types know what you have to do to use the guns.
Yeah, we measure it by pounds. Thinking it's still a Napoleonic era.
It's a little harder for us to call it that, the 2.7 kilogrammer. Like, it doesn't really have the same ring.
Yeah.
Pack 40 in the middle.
What?
Kind of funny. There is a jumbo there. And I don't know who's going to kill him, because the jumbo is just way too beefy in my mind.
I think the 60mm mortars killed a Stug 4. I'm fairly certain that's what happened.
Oh, just behind the Pack 40?
Yeah.
I would not be surprised.
We're going to have to check it after the, once we get to the KD portion of the replay, because I would not expect 60mm mortars to be able to do enough HE to kill him, but he might have been very low in HE from very low in HP compared to a previous engagement.
And that was what I was thinking about too, is that it's potential that they just dropped rounds on top of them. As much as I want to pretend that a tank is a crazy weapons material platform and all that, if I drop a 60mm round, HE or otherwise, on top of your actual vehicle, there's a pretty good chance you're going to buy it. AR 234 with a smaller payload hitting the southern side. Still quite terrifying.
Mm-hmm. And the speed, man. It allows it to, as you see, the P-51's going to come in, but the AR is going to be right out of dodge. Unless that P-51 is already on the field, it doesn't really have much of a chance to catch up.
Stukas Fuß, by the way, firing its Volkörper Flam shells over here in the center. After the jumbo, actually. That is a unique call. I'm not sure I would have done that myself, but I think he's just going for the sheer kind of terror effect.
Yeah, it didn't really do that much. The jumbo, with its rather thick skin, is going to require a little bit more bullying to get him to bugger off. But yeah, looking at his deck, he doesn't really have a lot of super heavy anti-tank. It's really just going to come down to Panthers to try and blow up the jumbo. Oh no, he has another barrage.
It's only 2 rounds. Yeah, it's 2 rounds.
Time at the infantry, and that should be a lot bit more deadly. Yeah.
But he's not going to aggress, and instead we're just going to get engineers coming in instead. So we're missing an opportunity here. Of course, maybe the Pack 40 has that Jumbo well in his sights. I would really have liked to have seen a much more aggressive stance on that.
Yeah, and with APCR shells, it does actually have the possibility of penetration, but still you want to get a side shot.
That's fair. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Now he's being taken under fire, so now of course, no, he's moving back again. You know, we talk about, these are one of the maps, if there's a central ridgeline, you have to be aggressive and take the central ridgeline. You can't kind of go back and forth with it. And the Panther went down to the north, and so did the Stroke 3. What the heck happened?
What the hell? Was that, might have been the 57mm. Which wouldn't be too surprising. I've seen Panthers die to all sorts of stupid things in the past.
Yeah, but usually they have like names like Whitman on it. Like, they don't go and die usually that easily.
Yeah. But very, like, good kills there from Gnef. That's gonna
Absolutely.
stabilize that northern sector for him as he really needs it. The problem with, I think, Gnef's gonna find is that his infantry is just not really that deep in terms of availability. And if it comes down to attrition, I mean, both sides have the same income. That doesn't matter. But just the hordes of Panzer Grenadiers which Shkodder can bring up will definitely, especially in a map like this where there's a lot of infantry fighting, really will come in pretty clutch.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because as terrifying as those jumbos can be, they really don't have a whole lot of staying power if you get nice and close to them.
Yep.
Of course, the same could be said for these Pack 40s, which is right now you're seeing actually armored rifles kind of just being pushed all over the place. There's a lot of like weird fire drills going on here. 60 mils are going after the Pack 40, 60 mils to the north are going after a lot of the Shrem Pioneers. Like, these 60 mils are, I think, are definitely the thing that's being far more contributory to Gnef's kind of current success, I think, than anything else, including his vehicle play.
Yeah. Yeah, they've definitely been helping out or supplementing his lack of infantry because they can provide some pretty decent fire support. And also same thing with his tanks. We've seen the Scott in the centre here trying to provide a little bit of close range fire support, trying to take out the IG-33. And now would be the time for the IG-33 to turn on the heat shells, so the HE shells still have a pretty good chance of blowing up the Scott.
But he's just going to go and engage him with, once again, the honking shells. So, probably get a nice stress out of it. Whoa.
I love seeing tanks get blown up by HE shells. It's one of my favourite things.
You know, I never really had pictured you being the Sound of Music, but I'm pretty sure that actually showed up in the song, My Favorite Things. Which, with them being Austrian at the time of World War II, I guess were probably checked pretty well. Mm-hmm. P-51 going after the south, but at the same time, another tactical nuke is being dropped, so apparently a kill streak has been reached. And skadoosh. P-51 gets taken out.
Wow. Anti-air does its job. A bit of it, to be fair.
155 off map down south. He's going to call down some fire support. Not the most important fire support that he needs, but I think right now he's just jonesing for a couple extra flags. Maybe he's just trying to go and just delay the southern side.
Yeah, I feel like Gnef realizes that his deck... I mean, both decks aren't super deep, to be fair, but Gnef is definitely on a disadvantage, so he needs to be aggressive right now. Keep up his +2 point pressure. Try to keep up north, push through Shenta, and just be bloody aggressive. He needs to do that. Otherwise, if he just sits on his heels, he's just gonna get he's gonna lose an availability. And oh, the jumbo is gone.
Yes, it is. I watched it go down. I didn't see what happened to kill it. I was too busy watching the Pigren showing what some long-range firepower looks like by engaging that church, so the heathen that he is, destroying it there. And the 105, we have a mortar carriage, excuse me, a howitzer carriage on the north part of this map, and he's searching, trying to find that Stuka Safus. Which I'm not entirely sure why, because when all is said and done, really wasn't that effective thus far.
Yeah, and it's also hard to counter battery armored vehicles. Even lightly armored vehicles like that. Oh, another nuke run coming in.
Yep, those mortars are dead. Without a doubt. It could be in a different area code and it'll still hit it. 3, 2, 1, and goodbye, lads. Yep.
Down they go.
You know, we were talking before we started casting, and I know I made comments about seeing the Comet H, was it? Yeah, the ME-163. But the AR-234, I also said to you, we don't see it very often, but like it has been devastating here. The amount of just stress it's been putting out by itself, I think, has certainly kept Shkodder really in this thus far.
Yeah, like, anytime we see, like, a decent infantry push from Gnef, they just get nuked by the jet bomber. And it is a pretty damn good bomber. It's a little bit pricey, of course, because of, you know, it having bloody jet engines. But it allows us to come in fast, drop a big bomb, and then get out of here. And also, well, to be fair, Gnef hasn't really brought up any anti-air. I think I'd probably increase the survivability of his infantry by a bit if he just gets a few 40 mils out.
Well, he's at the P-51, but he ends up bringing the P-51 in, and it loiters and doesn't contribute a whole lot. I think the last 155 is being called into the south. A couple of opportunistic BARs being sent on in, and it's timed well, don't get me wrong. The shell should be falling as the BARs hit the field, but it also hits his own troops.
Yeah.
So he's pinned himself. So, like, you know, it's DJ Khaled's, territory down here. It's like, congratulations, you just played yourself.
You really did. And if he could secure the southern forest, I mean, taking the forest requires good infantry play and artillery and all of that, but once you hold it, you just slap a few tanks on the edge, some anti-tank guns, and it's pretty hard to capture.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. M4A3 with that 105 does take out a Stug, and while this material isn't quite dead yet, I think I'd be a little bit nervous about the status of my armored vehicles. The Germans are losing a fair few, I will say that.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said already, it's extremely important for them to keep as many AFVs as possible in fighting trim, because that jumbo, for example, to the north, it will be prowling around constantly.
Yeah, and as you can see, even the Flak 88 is doing nothing to scare it. It's barely taken any suppression damage, yeah. And those jumbos, once you get them into a good spot, especially against divisions which don't have Pack 43s or super long 88s, it's just an immovable rule.
It absolutely is, and even if it has a rather underpowered main gun, still gonna be quite scary.
Yeah. I mean, it can't die, so you're just wasting ammo shooting it. But hey, here comes a jet bomber. Maybe that will kill it.
I do love how I'm looking at the name for it, and what the thing for it says, agility, worst. Okay, alright, man, I get it. And the bomb does very little, honestly.
Yeah, lands a little bit short here. You really need to direct it if you want to do anything against that jumbo.
Which is weird, because it can take out infantry within 500 meters, but it can't kill a jumbo if it lands, 50 meters away. But,
It's a bit more than 50 meters, to be fair. It was like 100 to 200.
I'm American. We don't worry about that weird metric stuff here. Unless it's war, like you said before.
Yeah, unless it's war, yeah. I was about to say, 57mm anti-tank guns.
I can't. We can't like 6 hashtag. Like at that point, like, yo, man, like we aren't tweeting over here. We're sending rounds down range. We're not showing attacking, like, yo, let me slide into your DMs, man. Let's do this. Like, that doesn't work like that.
Oi, mate, you ready? We're gonna attack at 7-0 bong.
TikToking. Stug in the north. I mean, trying to see right now. I'm surprised there hasn't been more Panther Ds. Yes, we've seen a couple go down, but I guess the relative expense is keeping things, well, in short supply.
Yeah, and we're seeing a pretty big armored force here being brought up here up north in for Gnef. And well, this is really the best place for him to play around with his tanks. It's good open ground, and he's still keeping up the pressure, even though he doesn't have the availability, so to speak. Doesn't matter if he's keeping up the push, and if he only has to live for another 4 minutes.
Yes, that is very true, and Shkodder only's got 5 minutes. Well, 4 minutes, excuse me. And when things like the M4A3 engage those Stogs, and the Stog cannot take out his Tormentor, That's a problem.
Yep. And
It's a
another
big
auto.
problem.
Kill one armored rifle squad. And, I mean, it's dead. But a bit overkill.
Yeah, but that's the best kind of kill.
Oh no, it's not evacing. Oh no. Oh, the P-51. It's gonna be a Chuck Yeager moment right here.
Finally justifies the 1.5 billion rounds he's been carrying up and not using whatsoever. Stukas Afus at long last is actually being reloaded, so he's going to have his 6 rockets one more time. And down to the south. I know we can go and armchair general as much as we can, and frequently do. But I do think there has been a bit of a missed opportunity along the center line, along the southern flank. Give up the north. You weren't going to win that. I feel like the second that we were 5 Stuarts up there, slap a couple of Pack 40s really in those tree lines, so at least encourage that nothing goes further west, and shove other ways. Like this center line push, at long last, this is happening. I thought this should have happened, 5, 6, maybe even 8 minutes ago.
Yeah, he really needs to make his push on the hill. This is his best bet. As 1, 2, 3 flags on the hill, which are definitely slow his rather ludicrous bleeding right now. And with the infantry deck that he has, that would be his best bet. But, Gnef has been managing to hold strong with, the few units he still has left. But yeah, I mean, looking at it, like, pushing in the center would have been Shkodder's best bet. And also losing down south due to the off-map artillery strikes has definitely put a rather big hindrance in Shkodder's plans.
If I can nitpick for half a second, I will say that down south, the push that got shut down by the off-map, part of that was, I think, very much assisted by a little bit of sloth that was there. And I know a lot of that attention was drawn from other places, so I'm probably being rather unfair by saying that.
But to be fair, we just saw 2 pioneers just get killed by driving right into armored rifles at bar armored rifles.
I wasn't even watching that. I'm watching the center as this rather kind of like, oh yes, we have 4 Pigrens and we have 90 seconds to live, and we're going to keep them over here on, like, the low part of the hillside. Like, no, you've got to be aggressive. You've got to attack. You've got to move. You've got to move now.
I feel like Shkodder's just kind of thrown in the towel. Which, to be fair, I mean, Gnef was playing extremely aggressive that match, and
yes,
it worked.
Absolutely.
I was actually quite surprised. I was thinking Shkodder would have... This would have been one of those matches where Gnef did well for 20 minutes, and then Shkodder would turn it around with the availability coming into his favour. But no, Gnef managed to play Maverick in the Maverick way, in the American way, of just shoving tanks into the enemy face and just not bloody dying.
There's so many questions with that. There's so many questions with that, but at the same time, we are going to see a tap out over here, and justifiably.
Yeah.
Now, it is worth mentioning that the KD was not egregious. So Shkodder, as much as we might have an issue really overall with the way that we played the later game of that, definitely at least remained fairly consistent. And you can see early on, that's where a lot of those kills certainly happened. All the light vehicles, very, very successful in the opening 10 minutes. It's just after that, things started getting more and more blue and depressed.
Yeah, if you look at the kills, the 60mm mortar Ibarra did kill the Stuck 4, which is... I'm actually quite surprised about it. Very good kill.
Oh yeah, Davila. Off map, decent enough. The P-51 at least got to kill one of those rocket planes. I do want to see... Well, it's Valinga, excuse me. I'm still probably saying that incorrectly. But that was the dude in the back lines. Got some very, very nice kills there. A couple of P-guns over here in the center line against Jeeps. Take out the Stuarts. I think that guy was in the south. Pack 40 hour.
Wow.
This was certainly his hour. 9, 10 kills. 10.
Great Scott.
Boo. AR-234 got 2 kills there. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure how reasonable he was being, but 6 kills again. Rocket planes coming out of nowhere. Very, very interesting, let's say, approach overall to what that match ended up turning out to be.
Yeah. I do like how easy it is for these German surnames to make puns.
And but like that's how it should be. That's
Yeah.
how a game is worthwhile is when they do that. But
Yeah. It just works.
But congratulations to the Spearhead. They certainly kind of pierced their way through.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, Nordland didn't protect his own Nordland really as well enough as he needed to today. And Orsha East, well, went to the Americans today.
Yeah.
Or at least the people wearing American colors. It's probably Lend-Lease anyway. They're probably Russian.
that would be the canonical reason why the 3rd US Armored is in the Eastern Front. I was saying that they took what's it called, like the Northern Convoy that gets like one of the northern Russian ports and then travel down to help with Operation Bagration. But I like the idea of them just being Russians pretending to be
American
Americans.
colors.
Is just.
I think it's more kind of like the interns. It's like, yes, we just send the troops over here, get some training. We got some recruits that just got here. Yeah, send the rookies in.
Yeah.
But regardless, folks, well played to both sides. Honestly, some really different tactics that we're not used to seeing really in the opening on either way there. But at the end of the day, 3rd Armor just pulled it out. I guess until Thursday. Thursday we have another real humdinger kind of coming on through. Any last thoughts for today, though, sir?
No, just really cool match. Like you said, awesome opener. Love to see gameplay like that.
Indeed. So, folks, hopefully we can get some more. Maybe the King Me rule can yet be implemented. But until then, I'm Con Ulrich.
I'm Rangru. Take it easy.